Welcome to the first in a series of vidcasts designed to support mentors, link tutors and class teachers within the primary partnership here at the University of Greenwich. The focus of this tutorial concerns providing student teachers with effective, high-quality written feedback in relation to a lesson observed. Specifically, it will look at the key documentation that has been written by the partnership to support observers provide effective feedback, and also look at the agreed principles which underpin the way in which feedback is provided to students. The overall quality of a student's teaching is primarily judged by the impact they have on pupil progress over time. With this in mind, pupil learning is at the heart of the primary partnership, and the feedback provided to students should be given through this lens. In particular, the focus of the feedback should consider the quality of the student's teaching and analyse how this has contributed to pupil learning and progress. Likewise, any target set to further support the student's professional development should also consider how the target will enable the student to have a greater impact on the progress of pupils in the class. We will now go on to unpick this in more detail, but before we do, it is worth noting that students are also required to evaluate the quality of their teaching through the lens of the impact they are having on pupil learning. This is evidenced in their lesson evaluations, their weekly evaluations, and their pupil assessment and tracking records, all of which can be found in their teaching file. So, in relation to the key documentation that has been written to support consistency across the partnership in relation to high-quality, effective written feedback, there are two key documents to highlight. Firstly, the one on your screen now, the Teacher Standards Ensuring Student Progress booklet. This guidance includes a range of materials to support mentors, link tutors, class teachers and students in securing accuracy in assessment of students. It includes resources to support the tracking and progress of students, the grade descriptors and overviews of our assessment processes and expectations for students. Secondly, the Partnership Handbook. This booklet provides a wealth of documentation and information to support all of those involved in working with student teachers. For the purpose of this vidcast, there are several important pages I wish to draw your attention to. These are, as shown on your screen. Please do take the time to familiarise yourself with the guidance on these pages. Additionally, I want to flag up the following sharing good practice guides that have been co-constructed by the partnership. I hope you find these useful to support you in your role. Let us now draw our attention to the key principles which underpin the way in which written feedback is provided to students. These principles have arisen from our Sharing Good Practice partnership development events, an analysis of feedback from students concerning what constitutes effective feedback, and also research into effective mentoring. As has already been mentioned earlier, the key principle concerns providing feedback to students on the quality of their teaching in relation to the impact it is having on pupil learning, and also considering the progress that the pupils are making. This feedback should be teacher standard focused. We recognise that a lack of skill or knowledge in any one of the teacher's standards can impede pupil progress, highlighting how the teacher's standards are interdependent. With this in mind, feedback should not simply describe what has occurred in the lesson. Instead, it should analyse the skills demonstrated in relation to the teacher's standards that has enabled the student to impact on pupil progress. Feedback should be clear about the strengths demonstrated by the student in relation to the teacher's standards, their progress against areas previously identified as areas for development, and also their next steps. To support with this, the language of the grade descriptors within the teacher's standards ensuring student progress should be used to support written feedback, the tracking of student progress and the areas for development to enable them to be at least good. Feedback should also take account of the subject being taught and include subject-specific commentary in relation to the quality of their teaching. Feedback should reference good practice within the particular subject being taught and provide feedback that will help the student to build upon their existing subject knowledge. For maths, systematic synthetic phonics, and PE, subject-specific observation feedback templates have been produced to support observers in providing subject-specific feedback in order to improve students' teaching and ultimately impact on pupil progress. Finally, it's important to remember that feedback should be provided in a timely manner. So to summarise, whilst it's important that our feedback is teacher standard focused, the driver behind all feedback should be the impact on pupil learning and progress. It's important to mention at this point that obviously a lesson observation is just one means of looking at the impact that a student's teaching is having on pupil learning and progress. Other typical ways include undertaking a work scrutiny and looking at the progression in terms of pupils' skills, knowledge and conceptual understanding. Marking and feedback, looking at the quality of the feedback and, importantly, the way in which pupils engage and respond to this. Speaking with the pupils about their learning in lessons. Are they clear about their learning and their next steps? It may also include looking at the students' assessment records. How are they tracking the whole class or groups of pupils? And importantly, how is this being used to inform their teaching to enable further progress? Clearly, these are just 4 examples. Do look at page 5 of the Teacher's Standards Ensuring Student Progress booklet for further guidance. Please also remember to look on the inside flap of your observation pad. The prompts contained on this page have been designed to support mentors, class teachers and link tutors in observing and providing feedback to students on their planning, teaching and assessment, with an explicit focus on pupil progress. Clearly, not every prompt will be relevant, nor is this an exhaustive set of prompts. In terms of the format of providing feedback, as previously mentioned, subject-specific templates have been produced for systematic synthetic phonics, mathematics and PE. The purple pad should be used for all other lesson observation feedback. 4 areas are focused on. These are on your screen now. Please also note that on the feedback form there is the space for you to link your feedback explicitly to the Teacher's Standards. Please do reference these. There is also a continuation sheet should this be required for additional commentary. Whilst the focus of this vidcast has predominantly centred around effective, high-quality written feedback, I'd like to draw your attention to the Sharing Good Practice Guide on undertaking effective lesson observation debrief with a student. A suggested format for this debrief is shown on your screen now. Question prompts can be found on the Good Practice Guide, which is on page 25 of your Partnership Handbook. I hope that you have found this vidcast informative. Please do direct any feedback to me at the address shown on your screen. Many thanks once again for your ongoing support with the Primary Partnership.